When it comes to ninja in the Naruto world, there aren't many who possess the power that comes close to that of Sasuke Uchiha, not even 4 of the Kage, with the only exception among the Kage being Naruto Uzumaki, the mind of a generational genius, the Kekkei Genkai of the Sharingan, as well as the power of the Rinnegan. Sasuke possesses power that most ninja in the Naruto world would refer to as being the power of a god, and when you think about it, they're not really wrong. Sasuke with just one jutsu could end the lives of thousands if he used his Rinnegan in a bloodlusted way. By the same token, Forbidden Sharingan Genjutsu allows him to rewrite reality, and the Rinnegan's Rinne Rebirth Jutsu allows him to bring souls back from the underworld, but it comes at a very steep price as a result. Anyone who calls Sasuke a god among men, they aren't exactly wrong. He's the walking embodiment of somebody holding life and death at the very fingertips. However, true power doesn't get just measured by people who have the power to wield it, but instead, power and threats from this power are measured by just how that person chooses to exercise that power. Are they doing so as a force of good, or are they doing it as a force of evil? Are they the judge, jury, and executioner, or are they the mediator during a heated situation, the voice of reason that keeps things from escalating? In the case of Sasuke Uchiha, he can be both of these, but sometimes his role as the shadow of the Hokage leads to him playing the role of the former. Oftentimes, he's the judge that oversees the fallout of a dangerous situation that threatens the village, being the jury who decides the fate of those who are at the wrong end of the spectrum, and being the executioner where things have gone too far to be saved. It's a role that Sasuke accepts willingly because it's in Naruto's nature to use that power to be the mediator for a situation, the voice of reason, because his power forces others to yield to his views, which oftentimes comes from a very sincere place of wanting the genuine best for everybody. They're the perfect yin and yang to one another, which is why moments like these are so important. In today's edition of Sasuke Shinden, the teacher's star pupil, we're going to take a look at the moment where Sasuke Uchiha displayed his overwhelming force of power in a way that reminded everyone that despite his calm and distant demeanor, at his fingertips, Sasuke possessed the power to destroy an entire country should he choose to do so. Now, for those of you guys who are new, Sasuke Shinden, the teacher's star pupil, is a Naruto novel that is set in the Boruto era. The timeline placement is during the months that exist between the Mujina Bandits arc and the Vessel arc of the Boruto manga. Now, for context, so far in this novel, we've had the following events that take place. Sasuke has saved Konohamaru from being killed by a group of 12 ninjas. The injuries sustained by Konohamaru has forced him to recover in the hospital. Sasuke is taken over as the leader of Team 7. Sasuke has begun training Boruto and Team 7 separately, and Boruto, in an effort to prove to Sasuke that he's truly worthy of being his student because Boruto feels inferior, Boruto has accepted a mission off the books to protect a pop singer named Lily, who is being targeted for assassination by an unknown threat. Just before we see Sasuke make his massive display of power, utter chaos breaks loose for Boruto and Team 7. The assassins that Mitsuki and Sarada have apprehended have been shot dead by a sniper with bullets going straight through their skulls before Sarada can question either one of them. Due to Team 7 not officially being on a mission of such a delicate nature, Mitsuki and Sarada cannot reveal themselves as gaining. Yet, Mitsuki states that the only way they can take down that sniper at the top of the stadium is to use the jutsu that Sasuke taught Sarada and Mitsuki, the highly complex Lorentz gun, a jutsu so complex Mitsuki and Sarada have to perform the jutsu together because they can't do it individually. However, it's during that time that Sasuke Uchiha, who's been watching the scene unfold from the shadows, makes his presence known in the most Sasuke Uchiha way. An overwhelming display of force that makes everyone in the room start praying to whatever god that they believe in. And in some cases, because of the level of power Sasuke displayed, some people are praying to Sasuke not to harm them. Our first sign that Sasuke made his move comes from when Boruto finds himself under the belief that he's under a Genjutsu, one so powerful that Boruto can't keep his transformation jutsu up, and Boruto's so shaken by the events that he can't effectively mold chakra. A giant dome of water quickly surrounds the area, which makes Boruto's situation even more dire, and it's then that Sasuke Uchiha steps out of the shadows to show why even the Kages fear the power of the man with the Rinnegan who stands in Naruto's shadows. With the context and scene finally being set, it's here I'm going to begin quoting the scene from the novel, and then I'm going to come back to you guys my thoughts, and it's here I'm going to begin quoting. Boruto suddenly heard a loud pop in his ear, and then something very weird happened. His arm began to move on its own. His arm steadily moved up towards the ceiling, despite the fact that he wanted them to do something entirely different. The microphone fell to the ground, causing a burst of ear-splitting feedback. The chakra that was given the order to undo the jutsu, and the chakra that was given the order to continue it, these were contradictory forces that appeared to be fighting in the same arm. Boruto was losing control. His hand changed back and forth to Lily's, blinking like a signal light. His ankles gave out underneath him, then Boruto collapsed onto the stage. His feet were turning back. The color drained from his face. His face began to spasm. All at once, something enveloped the area around him, a wall of water as high as he was tall, surrounding Boruto like a cage. He realized that his body was able to move again, but he didn't get it. The blasting music stopped abruptly, and the dome fell silent. He could see a human shadow on the other side of the water wall. The water squatted down and picked something up. And then Boruto heard a loud thunk of the mic being turned on. And then he realized the shadow had picked up the microphone. The show's over. The voice was emotionless and carried well. Nothing like Lily's high-pitched voice. All of you, leave immediately. Anyone acting suspiciously would be dealt with. The voice said, "What is old man Sasuke doing here?" Boruto shuddered, staring at the blurry shadow on the other side of his water prison. Normally, the audience revolted at this order. "What the hell? You gotta be kidding me! You ninja! Let Lily go! Keep the show going!" The voices were screaming. Boruto heard Sasuke sigh in annoyance. Suddenly, Boruto felt a frightening amount of chakra surge forth, and a chill ran up his spine as his knees began to buckle. A hair-raising purple giant sprouted up to block out the dome ceiling. The warrior, clad in traditional battle armor, its stern golden eyes glittered fiercely, demonically, as it stared down at the crowd. "If you don't want to die, you will leave this dome right now. Every last one of you." A terrified silence descended upon the crowd. In the next instance, the members of the audience scrambled from the venue, screaming. End quote. Now, what really should stand out here is the fact that Sasuke, without hesitation, whips out a perfect Susanoo. While it might seem like overkill to have a perfect Susanoo sprout up in the middle of the arena, Sasuke was not doing it to scare the innocent civilians away. I really need you to understand this, okay? So he specifically makes it a point to speak to any assassins left in the crowd with those words, speaking to them without saying their names, to tell them that he won't show any mercy, but most importantly, there was a meaning behind the meaning right here, where he said, if you don't want to die, you better leave the arena. So the fact that there's a meaning hidden behind the meaning should make you think back to the early days of Naruto, where it was hammered into our heads as fans that a ninja must learn to see past deception. That's what's at play right here. So Sasuke wasn't just speaking to the assassins, he was also speaking to Lily. While Sarada did have her suspicions of Lily earlier on in the novel, she still went along with Boruto's desire to take her on as a client, despite all the warning signs that Lily was a threat. Sasuke observed Team 7's actions from the shadows with the Sharingan active, and he waited for the situation to play out because Team 7, without realizing it, had gotten involved with one of Sasuke's S-rank missions. Now, according to Sasuke, the ringleader of the ninjas who he and Konohamaru fought on the train at the earlier part of the novel was none other than Lily. Sasuke wanted to show Lily how big of a gap there truly was between he and her. He wanted to make it clear that whatever she thought his power level was, it wasn't actually his true level of power. It was a mind game on the side of Sasuke, albeit it was a very effective one. Remember how Madara toyed around with the Kages and then proceeded to show them what true fear looked like when he used his perfect Susanoo for the first time? It prompted Inoki to ask, why are you holding back against us? And the Kage's morale was destroyed by this display of power. And to add insult to injury, Madara rubbed it in their faces by saying, what adult uses full force against children? So It's the same thing at play right here. Sasuke is warning Lily, do not test me right now. What I also love right here about this moment is that Sasuke chose to act at the very moment where his daughter arguably faced the greatest danger that she's faced on this mission. A sniper who could kill her at any moment. The stakes were raising to such a high level is what prompted Sasuke to bust out such a high level of power to say that the game's in here and now. However, that's going to be it for this installment of Sasuke Shinden, the Teacher Star Pupil. For a marker as to where we stand in terms of completion of the story, we're at the 60% mark, and what I'll say is that now that Sasuke's back in the picture, expect for the tension to ramp up as we start to head towards the climax. I'll be back with another installment soon. However, as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Have an awesome day, guys.